Hi, this is Sarah from Overstar Knits, and today we are going to pick up the sleeve stitches on the Nell Sweater. You can see I have here my sleeve stitches still on their waist yarn. I've done my few rows of body to sort of tighten up this cast on. And first thing I need to do is get these stitches back onto needles. So I'm going to use the same size needles that I used for the body and the yoke. So for me, that means size 11. And I'm once again, like my neckband, using my shortest cable. I would say use your shortest cable or use a longer cable so that you can do magic loop, because it is a limited amount of stitches. So you want to make sure you're not stretching them out too much. So I'm going to transfer all of these back onto these needles, and I will catch up with you when I've gotten them all off of this waist yarn. Alright, I've gotten my sleeve stitches back onto my needles. I'm going to let the right one come out, and I'm going to push the left one up so that the live stitches are near the point, and I will be ready to work them very soon. So we are going to pick up along this underarm edge the same way that we picked up for the neckband, along the back and the front. So what we need to do is find our center stitch, not our edge stitch, but our center stitch. So the easiest way to do that is to find your first unbroken line of knit stitches outside of the sleeve and then count inwards equally. So we go in, 2, 3, 4, and here's my center column. For my size, which is a small, my center column is a purl column. Sizes extra small, medium, large, 4XL, and 5XL. This center stitch for you will be a knit column. And sizes small, extra large, 2XL, and 3XL will be a purl column. So I'm going to take a new piece of working yarn. Again, I'm using my double strand of DK. I'm going to make myself a slip knot, which I will later drop off of my needle once all the stitches are established. And I am going to insert my needle tip into the topmost stitch of that center column, just like I did for the neckband. So right into that highest stitch that I can find in that column, and pull up a loop. Now we are going to continue picking up stitches along this edge here, and remember the last two stitches are going to look a little different, and I'll explain when I get to them. The stitch before that stitch that comes over is a little hard to find. Sometimes it kind of hides up underneath. You have to pull it apart a little bit to find that top stitch. There it is. I will insert my needle into it and pull up a loop, and you do this for as many times as you have stitches under that underarm. For different sizes, you cast on a different number of stitches, so you may have to do this more than me or less than me. So this second to last stitch, remember it sort of curves over from the side because it was made with the cable cast on, so I'll go into the center of that one. And then my last one is all the way over here. And it's actually this stitch right here. If you haven't done the body, an easy way to find if you have the right one is to sort of take another knit column and count up from the bottom, see how many stitches you have before you went into that top one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I went into the one above that. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, I was wrong. I'm going into this sort of little stitch up here. So I will open that up a tiny bit, put my needle through, and pick up a loop. So now I have my bottom edge stitches picked up. Now I need to pick up 2 stitches in this corner area before I go to any stitches on my needle. So the first one I'm going to pick up is going to be in the space between this knit column and this purl column, right next to the stitch that I just picked up. So if you can open it up a tiny bit, you're going to go into this space right here. So you want to make sure you have 2 strands between where you're picking up and the opening of the arm. So I'm going to go into that space there, and then we're going to go up 1 stitch and directly into the middle of this purl stitch, because all of our other increases from the sleeve have sort of been springing out of this purl column. We want to make this last one come out of that column as well. So we're going to go right into the center of this purl stitch and pull up. So now we have all of our stitches on this side of the arm, and now we are ready to work our stitches that were held on waste yarn previously. So we have a double stranded stitch to start. We need to know if we're going to do a BRK or a BRP. The easiest way to figure that out is to look at where your knit column is. If that has a double strand at the top, you know that you're working BRKs. If it has a single strand at the top, you know that your double stranded stitches in that round are going to be BRPs, which is where we are. So we're going to BRP or brioche purl, and then slip one yarn over. And we continue working in that pattern all the way around the stitches that we have on our needle, and I will meet you at the other side when I'm finishing up those live stitches. Alright, I've worked all the way around my sleeve stitches, and now I'm ready to pick up the rest of my armpit stitches. So like on the other side, I need to pick up 2 stitches from this corner area. The first one we pick up is going to be through this purl stitch here. So if you can sort of see, this is the gap similar to the one that we have on the neckband. You want one stitch above that into that purl. Just put your needle through, use your working yarn to pick up a loop. Now we're going to go right into that big space from the cast on and pick up our second. So we've done our 2 corner stitches. Now we just pick up the rest of the stitches across that cast on edge the same way that we picked up the first one. So we find our topmost stitches on all of those columns, and we insert our needles directly into the center. This first one, you have to open up a little bit because it's been pulled. There we go. So do this for as many stitches as you have left on your cast on. I have one more because I started in that purl column in the center, so I pick up one more knit column top. And there we go. We've cast on all of our new stitches from that edge that we made when we separated the sleeves. Now we can remove that slip knot loop because we don't need it anymore, and we can now place our stitch marker. Now we can start our setup round 2, which will get our newly picked up stitches into brioche pattern. So all of them right now are single strands, so we have to make some of them doubles. We are gonna take our first strand, and depending on which kind of column that comes out of, that will determine what we do to this first stitch. So as I said, sizes extra small, medium, large, 4XL and 5XL, this is a knit column for you. And sizes small, extra large, 2XL and 3XL, this is a purl column. So our next working round, if you look at our established stitches, is going to be a BRK slip one yarn over. So all the knit columns are going to be BRKs. So if we're starting with a purl column, we need to do our slip one yarn over to start, if that is what your first stitch is. Refer to the pattern to make sure you're doing the correct first stitch. Since this is a setup row, we don't have a double strand to go into. Our BRKs for those stitches will just be a single knit. So we do that across all of our new stitches until we reach the rest of the sleeve. So again, I slipped one yarn over, I knit, and now I am back at our established sleeve stitches. We're going to work in pattern all the way around the sleeve until we get to our new stitches on the other end of the row. So I will meet you over there. All right, I've gotten around my sleeve and I've gotten to where the pattern tells me to switch back to the setup version of brioche rather than the full version. And now I will finish out these last new stitches with that same setup. So for size small, I would do a slip-on yarn over followed by a knit 1 and repeat that until the end of the round. And slip my marker. So now I have finished setting up the sleeve, and now I'm ready to just go all the way down the length of the sleeve in normal work-in pattern. So now I go back to a row that begins with a BRP, slip one yarn over. Now I can just work in pattern all the way around the sleeve. And there you have it.